live in your living rooms. Well, Martin Mull, if any of you remember Martin Mull, the comedian, he did have his comedy routine was Martin Mull, like live from your living room, and his set was on stage, a living room. Yeah, is he still alive? I don't know. We'll have to Google him after Shabbat. I'm going to be calling pages from our new Siddur Sim Shalem. Our service begins as our morning service always begins, on page 65 with the morning blessings. Please rise if you are able. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasek v'vina lavchin ben yom u'ben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokev kifufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokar et alamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asan li kol tzarki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechei mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifarah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten layav koach. You may be seated. Now, if you haven't already noticed, those of us who are new to the Siddur, it is real easy to follow along with the Shaliach Tzibor Chazan, because you will see at the bottom of some paragraphs little squares, little open squares, maybe one or two lines up from the end of the paragraph. In this particular page, on page 65, it is 4 lines up, two words from the left. There's a little open square. That's the spot where the Chazan or the Shaliach Tzibur finishes. So in our previous Siddur, that was not so easily marked. Here, it is marked all over the place. So, Udneinu hayom uv'kol yom l'chenu l'chesed u'l'rachamim, v'einecho v'einecho ro'enu v'tikmalenu chasadim tovim baruch atah Adonai, kameh chasadim tovim li'amo Yisrael. Now, as we turn to page 66, again, a little tour through our Siddur. I'm not going to rush things, but if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom of the page, there's the last word on the line, Ashrenu. And right before that is a little open square. Well, that tells the Chazan or the Shaliach Tzibur that that's the part that you start chanting at. So starting from the top of the page, you wrote Avotenu. Ashrenu matov chelkeinu manayim goroleinu mayafa Yerushatenu. Ashrenu she'anaktu mashkimim u'marivim erev v'avoker ve'omrim pa'amayim b'chol yom Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Dan. Page 66. We have a question.
No, I just note that paragraph. This paragraph is very meaningful.
Which paragraph?
The top paragraph.
All right.
May be your will.
Let us read it in unison. The top paragraph on page 66 in the English. May it be your will, Adonai, my God and God of my ancestors, to protect me this day and every day from insolence in others and from arrogance in myself. Save me from vicious people, from evil neighbors, and from corrupt companions. Preserve me from misfortune and from powers of destruction. Save me from harsh judgments. Spare me from ruthless opponents, be they members of the covenant or not. Well done, Dan. whether they are members of the covenant or not. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
You got some evil neighbors?
Yes.
Just because they have a mezuzah on their front door doesn't mean they can be blindly trusted. Is that what you're telling us? Yes, that's what that sentence does say. And this Siddur is much... This Siddur has a lot of stuff in it that our previous Siddur did not have. It's yes. Yes. Well, moving forward, let us go to the Psalm for Shabbat, which can be found on page 72. Hayom Yom Shabbat Kodesh, Shabu Hayu Levim Omrim Beveit HaMikdash. And I encourage you to read in the English. Mizmor Shir, Mizmor Shir Shabbat. Oh, you besira dishenim veranim you leagid kashar lenai tzrivalov latabo. In our Siddur, we turn forward to page 81 for Psalm 30. Mizmor Shir Chanukah Rabbayit LeDavid. הפכתי מזבדי למחלי, פתחתי סגבת עזני שמחה, למען יש בך כבוד לא ידום, על הלכה לעולם עודך. Going back on what was pointed out to us earlier, I know we are taught in the commandment, thou shalt not take God's name in vain, not to look at God as, our personal magician. But I find in reading a lot of this that we are asking God to do a lot of stuff, and even on Shabbat, where we're not supposed to ask for things to be done. And I find it awful difficult not to fall into that trap, where when you think, I've always said people turn to faith at moments of life's crises, illness, death, marriage, birth. Well, it's true. They turn to their synagogue, they turn to their church, and at major life cycle moments. And it is hard probably not to turn your gaze upward and ask for things as if God were there to do your bidding. And we're not supposed to do that. Anybody observing a yard site or reciting Mourner's Kaddish present in the sanctuary? Then we will move on to page 83 for Psuke de Zimra, Baruch She'amar. Please rise if you are able. Baruch She'amar v'haya olam. Baruch Hu, Baruch Oseh Bereshit, Baruch Omer V'Yoseh, Baruch Ozer U'Makayim, Baruch Merachem Al Haaretz, Baruch Merachem Al Habriyot, Baruch Mishalem Sachar Tov L'Re'av, Baruch Halal V'Kayam LaNetzach, Baruch Podeh U'Matzil, Baruch Shemoho, Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Ha'el Avarachamanu Mechol Abafi Amoho, משובח ומבואר בשלום חסידיו ועבדיו, ושברי דוד עבדך, נהלל אחרי אלוהינו בשפחו ובזמירות, נגדלך ונשבח ונפרך, ונזכיר שמך ונמליכך על מלכנו אלוהינו, יחיד חי העולמים, מלך משובח ומפואר עד שמו הגדול, ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך מהולל בתשבחות. If you're standing, you may be seated. As we turn forward in our Siddur too, and there are all the Psalms here that have usually been missing from our previous Siddur. To Psalm 92, a song for Shabbat. Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat, tov lo kol hayom, le'agid b'boker hasdecha v'yomlecha b'aleilot. Oh, nirvum v'sedah shenim v'ranim yiyu, le'agid k'asher Adonai, tzarei v'lo avlatabo. Ashrei can be found on page 96 in Siddur Sim Shalom. Ashrei ashrei v'eitecha, od yalelucha selah. Tehillah Adonai yedaber pi v'yivarech kabas Hashem kadsho le'olam va'ed va'anachnu nevarech ya me'ata v'yad olam hallelujah. Continuing on 97, hallelujah, hallelujah nafshi Adonai. Adonai shomer kerim yodei le'aman yodei yivarech lo sheni veit imloch Adonai le'olam Elohai etzion ledor v'ador. Hallelujah. Turning forward in our Siddur to page 100 for Psalm 150. Hallelujah, hallelujah bilkacho, hallelujah bekiazo. Hallelujah b'rokaso. Hallelujah b'tirtzei shama, hallelujah b'tirtzei trua, kol ha'neshamati aliyah, hallelujah, kol ha'neshamati aliyah, hallelujah. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen v'amen. Baruch Adonai mitzion shochin Yerushalayim, hallelujah. Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael, oseh niflot levado. Uvaruch Shem Kavodo Le'olam, Vayimalech Kavodo Ad Kol Haaretz. Amen v'amen. We turn forward in our Siddur to page 104 for Nishmat Kol Chai. Nishmat Kol Chai, Tivarech et Shimcha Adonai Eloheinu. And while I confess I find the poetry of this next particular passage in our previous Siddur to be a little more poetic, I'm still fond of the middle of page 104 as we recite in unison in English, could song fill our mouths? Could song fill our mouths as water fills the sea? And could joy flood our tongue like countless waves? Could our lips utter praise as limitless as the sky? And could our eyes match the splendor of the sun? Could we soar with arms like an eagle's wings and run with gentle grace as the swiftest deer? Never could we fully state our gratitude for the 1/10,000th of the lasting love that is your precious blessing, dearest God, granted to our ancestors and to us. We continue. נהלך נשבך נפרחה ונברך את שם קדשך כמו לדוד בכי נפשי אדוני וכך הרבה את שם קדשו האר בתעצומות עוזך הגדול בפרוט שמך הגבור לנצח והנורא בנורותיך המלך היושב על כיסא רם ונישא שוכן עד מהרום וקדוש שמו וכתוב רדו צדיקים באדוני לישרים לבתחילה, בפי ישרים תתהלל, ודברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמחלות רביבות ומחל בית ישראל, ברינה יפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור והדור, שכן כל לבד כל יצורים, לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפרח, לרומם, להיעדר, לברך, להלל, כעלס, על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות, דוד בן ישי עבדך משיחך. 106, please rise, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול הקדוש בשמיים ובארץ, כי לך נא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, שראש בך הלב וזמרה, עוז וממשלה נצח גדולה גבורה, תלה ותפארת קדושה ומלכות, ברכות והודות מאת אבינו לעם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודות אדוני נפלאות, הבחר בשירי זמרה, מלך מלכי עולמים, יגדל ויתקדש מרבך, ויעלמה דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וביומכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו, אמן, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם עולם היה, יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתרום וינשא, יתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשה, ברכו לאל מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשוקתה ונחמתה, תמירם בעלמה ואמרו, amen. Our formal Shacharit service begins on page 107 in Siddur Shim Shalom. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavorach. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzer U'vorei Choshech Osei Shalom U'vorei et HaKol. If you're standing, you may be seated. Al kol yoducha v'chol shabachucha. Again, 3 lines up from the bottom, where we find the little open square. Ein kechach Adonai b'olam hazeh, v'yein zolatecha malkeinu l'chayei olam haba, evetz b'yitecha go aleinu limon HaMashiach, v'yein melech HaMoshiachenu l'chiyat ha'metim. El Adon HaKol HaMa'asim, baruch u'mvorach b'fi kol nishama, gadlo v'tuvo, malei olam da'at u'tvina, sova v'imoto. Hamid Gael El Chayra Kodesh, V'neder B'chavor Al Merkava, Zechut U'mishoalim Nechiso, Chesed V'rachamim L'chnei Kevodo, Tovim Miorot Shabara Eloheinu, Yitzorom B'dat Bavino Uvaskel, Koach U'gvura, Natan Bahem Liot, Moshlim B'kerev Tevel, Meleim Ziv Umfikim Noga, Naya Ziva B'chol HaOlam, Samechim b'teitam b'sasim b'voam osim b'yema retzon konam per v'chavod notnim lishmot sola verina lezecher malchuto kara l'shemesh ויזרח אורת והתקין צורת הבנה. שבח נודים לו כל צבא מהרום, תפארת וגדולה, צרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש. לאל אשר שבת מכל המעשים. We're at the top of page 109. תתברך משה ידו השבח מעשה ידיך, ויאמר יורש עשתה יפרוך סלע. Our Shabbat morning service continues at the top of page 110. תתברך צורנו מלכנו וגואלנו, מורי קדושים שמחנו כולם מלכנו. כולם אוהבים, כולם ברומים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים עמה ביראה רצון קונם, וכולם פותחים את פרקי מקדושיו תורה, ובשירה וזמרה, וברכים ושבחים מפארים ומעריצים ומקדישים וממלכים. את שם האל המלך, הגדול הגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא, וכולם מקבלים עליהם המלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש ליוצרו מנחת רוח, בשפה ורבנים הקדושה, כולם כחרונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות מלוך על הארץ כבודו. ואופנים וחיות הקודש פרש כדוהו, מנסים ליום הצרפים ליום המשבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, לאל ברוך ממולדתנו. We're continuing on the last paragraph of page 110. Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir, v'nizkechu lanu me'ora li'oro, baruch atah Adonai, yotzer ha'me'orot. Avad ha'bav tanu Elohim, v'chem l'agadu l'anu Elohim. V'ha'er inenu b'toratecha, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה ויראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. We're on the middle of page 111. Those of us wearing a talit, we gather the tzitziot on the four corners of our talit as we start 7 lines up from the bottom of the page with V'havienu in preparation for Shema V'ahavta. V'havienu l'shalom me'arba kanfot haaretz v'tolechenu komemiyut komemiyo le'artzenu ki el po'el yeshodata ובנו בחרת מכל בלשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע סלע באמת, להודו לך ויחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, אבכם בעמו ישראל, מאהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם במזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. The second part of the V'ahavta recited silently We have Torah trope in our new Siddur, so those of you who want to chant Torah are more than welcome to chant the second part of the V'ahavta to yourself. We will do the third part of the V'ahavta at the top of page 112 in unison when we get there. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta alehem v'yazu lahem tzitzit hakan v'videhem l'dorotam v'nanu atzitzit hakana b'til techelet v'yalachem l'tzitzit uritem oto u'schartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam v'lo taturu Acharei levavchem v'acharei nechem asher atem zodim achareihem למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם ואני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמר לדבר קיים ושמו קיים וחסונות ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. אמת שאתה אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו מלכנו מלך אבותינו גואלנו גואל אבותינו יוצאנו צור ישועתנו פודנו מצילנו מעולם שמך and Elohim Zulatecha. If you're still holding your tzitziot, you may release them as we're at the top of page 114. Ezrat Avotenu Atohu Me'olam. We're in the middle of page 114. Tehilot Le'el Elyon Baruch Hu U'Mevorach Moshe U'Bnei Yisrael Lechanu Shira B'Simcha Rabba V'Yamru Chulam Mi Kamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Kamocha Nedar B'Kodesh Nohora Tilot Osef Eleh Shira Chadasha, Shivchu Geulim, the Shimcha Safarayam, Yachad Kulam Hodu Ve'imnechu Ve'amru, Adonai Imloch Le'olam V'ha'ed. So Yisrael, Kuma Ve'ezad Yisrael, Uvedechenu Mecha Yehuda Ve'Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Tzavaot Shembo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. The Shacharit Amida for Shabbat, including the Imahot, can be found on page 115b, as in Beth Am. We will recite the first that page and the Kedusha in unison together. The remainder will be recited silently. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך תמימית ומחיה ומצביע ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני, וחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר. קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך על הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מנסים למצרפים, ליומתם ברוך יאמרו. ברוך כבר אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מגנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, ולנצח נצח נצחים, ועינינו תראנה, תראנה מלכותך, כדבר אמר בשירי וזכר על ידי דוד, על ידי דוד, על ידי דוד משיח תיקך, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו בינו ימוש לעולם ועד, כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. The remainder of the Amida is recited silently through pages 120, after which you may be seated. If you have not concluded your personal prayers or meditations, please continue to do so. Do not feel rushed. As we turn to page 138 for Kaddish Shalem. Yikirav yikirash merabah, v'yalma divrach yiruteh, v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chaychonu v'yomechonu, v'chaychol beit Yisrael, b'agalav v'zman korivim meru, yehesh merabah mevarach, le'olam olam me'olam maya, yibarach, yishtabach, yitbar, yitman, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitolach shmei kudisha, le'ila mikol b'chata v'shirata, v'shirata v'necha b'ta, damin ram v'yalma v'yimeru, Tika bats lo tonu val to honu chois wel kadomu v'hondi v'shmai v'imeru. Yehesh lama rabba min shmai v'chaim alenu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imeru. Oseh shalom b'mromav v'yaseh shalom alenu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome in live, and those of you who are mostly live out there. We've come to the part of the service where we would take out the Torah. But as we have done here at Congregation Beth Am for quite some time, dating back to March of 2020 when COVID sequestered all of us, we rely on our Devar Torah. So what I'm going to do, and I will not take a lot of time because I never do, I'm going to give you a very brief synopsis of B'Halotcha, this week's Torah portion, and then I scoured the internet for someone else's words to say in place of my own, and found something I found very enjoyable, and I will share it with you. First of all, as a summary, 6 bullet points for this week's Parsha. God speaks to Moses, describing the menorah for the tent of meeting. The Levites are appointed to serve as assistants under Aaron and his sons. Woohoo for the Levites. All Levites, raise your hands. Woohoo! We get the second Aliyah for the Torah reading. Bullet point number 2. Those who are unable to celebrate Passover during Nisan are given a time in the month of Sivan to observe a second Passover, Pesach Sheni. People don't know that you can have a second Passover. Go and try and find kosher Passover matzah at the supermarket today. Number 3, a cloud by day and fire by night show God's presence over the tabernacle. When the cloud lifts from the tabernacle, the people leave Sinai, setting out on their journey tribe by tribe. Number 4, the Israelites complain about the lack of meat, and Moses becomes frustrated. God tells him to appoint a council of elders. God provides the people with meat and then strikes them with a very severe plague. I don't know, we have to talk about that, but I didn't want to talk about that. And the last bullet point, Miriam and Aaron talk about the Cushite woman who Moses has married. In addition, they complain that God speaks not only through Moses, but also through them. Miriam is struck with leprosy. Moses begs God to heal her. After her recovery, the people resume their journey. So are we not supposed to be vegetarian because God provided us with meat for us to eat? And what bothered us after the meat? Are we plagued with like irritable bowel syndrome as a race because of this? I don't know. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about, but I did notice that. Anyway, I share Rabbi Stephen Barr's comment this week. And it starts, if I start on page 1. As they say in Hollywood, you can't make this stuff up. There are some things in the Torah that could not have been written unless they actually happened. After seeing water stand on end at the Red Sea, receiving the Torah, and witnessing a multitude of miracles, the Jewish people post this complaint. Quote, "We remember the fish we ate in Egypt for free, along with the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic." Close quote. That's our portion, chapter 11, verse 5. Now, don't get me wrong. I like fish as much as the next guy. Fresh cod, mahi, or salmon can make my day. But give me a break. Onions? That's what you called us in for? As much as I really don't want to do this, it really is worse than it sounds. The Jews were slaves in Egypt, for crying out loud. Free fish? You've got to be kidding me. I am. Rashi points out there's no way they got free fish. Egypt wasn't a cruise ship vacation, so for sure they had to pay for it. Not only that, but what is it with the cucumbers? Well, the truth is, it's really worse than even that. While in the desert, the Jewish people had a miraculous food called manna. It fell from the sky every day. They got a double portion on Friday, and it tasted of whatever you wanted to think of. Everything? Well, not everything. There were 5 things it didn't taste of, and you guessed it. Cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. What about fish? Nope. Manna tasted like fish. It just wasn't free. Now you mean to tell me that this manna was like walking into a restaurant and everything was on the house except for a few incidentals, and that's what they're complaining about? You got it. You're right, you can't make this stuff up. So why couldn't it taste like leeks? Rashi explains that these 5 vegetables were difficult for nursing mothers. Okay, last question. If the manna fish wasn't free, how much did it cost? Okay, more than they were willing to pay. The best things in life are never free. Let me explain. Imagine this. You just got a text that you have won the lottery, $250 million. Take a minute, ask yourself, how do you feel? I don't care what's going on, who burnt dinner, what your boss did, what your kids ruined. You are now having one of the best moments of your life. What changed? Nothing. What do you mean nothing? I can quit my job, I can buy the Lamborghini I always wanted, and I can move to the beach. Yes, but that's tomorrow. Right this minute, right now, nothing has changed. Yeah, you probably feel better than you have ever felt. No matter what was going on today, no matter what you were complaining about, if you found out you won $250 million, you are having a great day. How we think about tomorrow changes how we feel right now, no matter what kind of day we're having. In other words, nothing will ruin your day if you're willing to pay the price of thinking that tomorrow will be incredible. But what if it isn't? That's not the point. This is. When you think that $250 million will better your life, then you will have a great day today. Not just a nice day, not even a very good day. If you knew you won the lottery, you would have an absolutely incredible, over-the-top amazing day with all the same problems and all the same issues. And what's more, it will cost you nothing. Well, except for one thing. Thinking. Oscar Wilde famously said, there are 2 problems with life. Sometimes you don't get what you want, and sometimes you do. The most unhappy people I have had to work with are the ones that got what they wanted in life. The other people are unhappy too, just not as bad, because they think there's a reason they're unhappy. The ones who got what they wanted don't know why it isn't helping. Some people need to get what they want to realize it won't make them happy. And some people are willing to think. If you thought that something tomorrow was going to solve all your problems, and thinking that would make you happy now, it means your mind controls your happiness now. And that thing won't do you any good because it isn't making you happy. Your thinking is. Therefore, you can have the best life possible if you are willing to think. If you thought that this manna fish was the most incredible tasting fish any human being had ever tasted, beyond anything ever, then what a great meal that would be. That's what the manna fish required. And if you didn't think, then that's what it would taste like too. If you wake up tomorrow truly expecting your day to be the best day ever, then you know what? It will be a great day. Can you do that? For sure. You've done it many times. I call it going to Disney for the first time kind of day. But you have to think, and most people would rather let someone else think for them, so they just turn on the television. That's why they wanted to go back to Egypt, where they didn't need to think, because thinking is the most expensive cost there is. And relative to thinking, slavery is a bargain. And I'm not making that up. And that's Rabbi Barr's comment. I thought it amusing. Well, someone once told me a long time ago, don't let the weather control your day. Something similar. Bring the sunshine with you wherever you go. I don't know. Those of us who see people all day long, different people, every 15 minutes, all day long. That's my schedule, every 15 minutes. If you're having a good day, they're going to have a better day, regardless of the day they're having. Because they could walk in a really sour mood. And rightfully so, they have a problem and it's causing them pain. And maybe their goal that day is to create as much grief for you as they're experiencing themselves. Have you ever experienced that, Dan? You know, they're having a really rough day and they're going to make sure your day's just as rough, but you don't let it. Or you don't have to let it.
There's a saying, the Norwegians have a saying, there's no such thing as bad weather, just being badly dressed for the weather.
It was commented, the Norwegians say there's no such thing as bad weather, just being badly dressed for the weather. That's true, except when the heat index is 111 like it is today. So you tell me what item of clothing you can put on to make it feel better. And if you're telling me you're going to take off your clothing, then I'm not going to visit you today at all. Thank you very much. But if you've got a fabric you can put on that's going to make that 111 feel like 85, he played basketball, and I went to Top Golf for the first time in my life. For Father's Day, the family decided that the father should go to Top Golf. I've never been there. It's a nice place. It was a nice place. I'm not doing a commercial for Top Golf here. Don't misunderstand me. But I took golfing lessons 32 years ago. Why do I know 32 years ago? Because I took them just around the time Aaron, my eldest, was born. True story. At Timaquan, Debbie and I went. We didn't have to buy clubs. We didn't have to buy shoes. They provided everything we needed. We could just take golf lessons in our sneakers. And we liked it. We had my mother and father watch Aaron when we went and took our golf lessons. And then I found out how long it takes to golf a round of golf. And true story. I asked myself, you're busy every day of the week, you have a newborn son, and now you're going to take 4 hours of your spare time on a weekend on a golf course when you could be spending it at home with him? Which makes more sense? So I never golfed a game. Ever. Putt-putt once in a while, but that was about it. So showing up at Top Golf was the first time I'd picked up any type of club in a very, very long time. And it was a lot of fun. It was more fun because I won. But that is really not the issue. That's kind of the issue. Anyway, we should have a synagogue outing at Top Golf. Ooh.
What is it, like miniature golf?
No, it's actually, you hit at targets out onto a field. And I'm not talking the guy riding around in the cart finding the balls. That target doesn't count. And they have 3 levels. We were up on level 3, so we were up there. And you didn't step off the edge, let's just put it that way. That hammock ain't gonna stop nobody from falling 3 stories. And you rent for an hour, I guess, or 90 minutes or whatever, the bay. And they provide like clubs there, some men's clubs, women's clubs, and you whack the ball. Basically. Except we let our 2-year-old grandson hit one of each of our balls during our series. I have video of it. Not good. He's not a golfer. Could be. But at this age in his life, he liked retrieving the ball from the machine where you wave a club over a little light. Anyway, you have to go. I don't know how we got there. Why did we change that? Oh, we got to the... It wasn't fun. I didn't think I'd enjoy myself, but it was a lot of fun. And I'm not nearly as sore as I thought I would be. I thought my back would be killing me. Any comments on the Torah portion? That Moses married a dark-skinned woman, and his sister and brother were a little peeved at that? We're not even going to get into that.
How about Miriam?
How about Miriam? Got cured of her leprosy.
Is the first
Cushite is like, yeah, African. And there's some argument. There's stories that he had more than one wife. And I was reading a commentary. They're not sure whether this Cushite was the Zipporah or not. But anyway, Miriam and Aaron were not happy. You ever had any members of your family that weren't happy with something you did? Then you made them get leprosy. And then you cured them. It all was good. Kind of say, don't piss me off again because God's on my side. Seriously, no more comments? No suggestions? No. That was it for the Torah portion. Next week it gets more exciting. Maybe. I don't know about you, but I enjoyed myself. Where are we? Yes, and if you do win $250 million, consider tithing to Beth Am. That would be nice. Let us recite a Mishaberach for those who are ill at home or in the hospital. Actually, if you want to know, the actual Mishaberach prayer is in our Siddur. It occurs in the portion of the Torah service where they have a Mishaberach for men, for women, for B'nai Mitzvah, prayers for the congregation. But since we all know it, the Deborah Friedman version of Mishaberach is found on the inside back cover of your Siddur. In between the first and second paragraphs, I'll read the name of the congregation's Mishaberach list and give you an opportunity to recite your names on your own personal Mishaberach list. And those of you at home on live stream, please take the opportunity to recite out loud names of people on your own personal Mishaberach list. Mishaberach Avotenu, Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. On Congregation Beth Am's Mishaberach list this week are Barbara Allman, Steve Ashheim, Mona Bakov, Sawyer Bartel, Teresa Kala, Amelia Cooley, Audrey Dash, Gordon Feinberg, Pearl Friedman, Robert Gamson, Renee Ginn, Carla Gonzalez, Jeffrey Greenwald, Eve Humberger, Alan Jacobs, Rita Kindle, Keith Langston, Steve Lifshin, Robert Maya, Sandy Minkin, Morris Rashi, Ron Rosenberg, Dom Salfi, Rob Seltzer, Harleen Schreck, Leslie Schulsinger, Danny Siegel, Izzy Sigmund, Saul Stein, Andrea Diane Sylvester, Bill Thompson, Peter Teitelbaum, Nancy Town, Albert Warman, Herb Weissman, Suzette Weissman, Katarina Williams, Label ben Margalit, Liba Shlomit, Rachel bat Margalit, Feivel, Shlomo ben Dvora, Yisrael ben Ethel, and Avraham ben Masha. Those of you in the back, please. Hands up.
Tom Rapsidara and Eric Lindstrom.
Anyone else? Misha Beherach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We will recite a brief Musaf service to allow those who are reciting Kaddish to do so. So we turn to page 155 in our Siddur Sim Shalom, and we rise for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkada v'yitkada shmei rabba, v'alama divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai yechon u'v'yom mechon, u'v'chai yetecho bein Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kari v'yimeru, amen. Yeshmei rabba mevorach, le'olam al me'olam maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitroma v'yinaseh, Vita dar, vita le, vita la, shmei de kudisha. Barichu le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'amiram bi'alama. V'yimeru. Amen. The Musaf Amida for Shabbat, including the Imahot, can be found on page 156b for Beth Am in our Siddur Sim Shalom. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei Avoteinu Elokei Avraham Elokei Yitzchak v'Elokei Yaakov Elokei Sarah Elokei Rivka Elokei Rachel v'Elokei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol v'Zocher Chasdei Avot ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע מרקל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים סומק דופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר מחמוך בגבורות ומדומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצביע ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. Kedusha can be found on page 157. נעריצך ונקישך כסוד ציית ספי קודש, המקדישים שמך בקודש, ככתוב היה נביאך, וקרא זה אל זבי אמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות מלך על הארץ, כבודו, כבודו מלא עולם, משרתיו שואלים זה לזה, איה מקום כבודו, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו יפן ברחמים, ויחון עמם יחד עם שמו, ערב ובוקר בכל יום, תמיד פעמיים באהבה שמה אומרים, שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד, הוא אלוהינו הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו, שנית, 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 לעיני כל חי. להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקיש, ושבחך אלוהינו פנו ימוש לעולם ועד. כי אומר גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. The remainder of the Musaf Amida recited silently through page 161, after which you may be seated. If you haven't yet completed your Amidah, please, there is no need to rush. As we turn to page 181 in our Siddur for Kaddish Shalem. Yitkerav Shmei Rabbah, V'yalmad Divrei Chirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chaychonu V'yomechonu, V'chayrecho Beit Yisrael, V'agalav V'zman Kori V'yimeru. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, Le'olam Al Me'olam Maya. Yibarak, V'yishtabak, V'yitbah, V'yitma, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitolad Shmei L'Kudeshah. Le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata, tu b'shechata v'nechamata, damiram v'yalma v'imeru. Titgabat zlotonu v'adhon d'chol Yisrael, kadomo v'hon d'vishmai v'imeru. Yehei shlama rabba min shmai v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imeru. Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol Yisrael tevel v'imeru. Amen. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein. Hold it a minute, that was wrong.
Let's see. En Keloheinu, En Kadoneinu, En que Maquenu, en que Moshienu, non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Maquenu, mi Moshienu. ¿Quién como nuestro Dios? ¿Quién como nuestro Señor? ¿Quién como nuestro Rey? ¿Quién como nuestro Salvador? No del Eloheinu, no del Adoneinu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Lo haremos a nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor, lo haremos a nuestro Rey, lo haremos a nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Tú sos nuestro Dios, tú sos nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador.
Yasher Koach. We turn to page 183 and we rise for Aleinu. Aleinu Yeshabeach Ladon HaKol, Latekedu Lalioteh Breshit, Shelo Asanu Gigoyei Aratzot, Velo Samanu K'mishpachot HaAdama, Shelo Samchakenu Gahem, V'gahor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam, V'anachnu Korim, U'mishtachavim U'modim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu Not HaShamayim V'yosei Haaretz, U'moshav Yekaro B'Shamayim Imal, U'shchinadu Zo B'gavei Meromim, Hu Eloheinu Ein Od, Emed Malkeinu Evazulato, Kakatu B'Torato, V'yadata Yom V'chashevota El Levavecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, B'Shamayim Imal, V'yal Haaretz, Mitachad Einod. Okay, they will follow it. Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, v'ne'emar v'hai Adonai, le'melech al kol haaretz, bayom ahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. You may be seated. This week at Congregation Beth Am, we observe the art sites of Emmanuel Cohen, Tilly Patek, Sophie Gitlin, and Doris Brown. Is there anyone's name I left off the list? Those observing a yard site, those reciting Mortar's Kaddish, please rise with me on page 184 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaychon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv imru, Amen yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, li'olam ulamei olamaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei l'kudisha, Barichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiram bi'alma v'imru, Amen yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen oseh shalom b'mromav, huya aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Those standing may be seated as I call on the president of the congregation, Tom Mayer, to give you announcements this Shabbat morning.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. Mark, thank you so much for leading us in services and your Devar Torah. Asfado, thank you for in Kalahene. We've done very nicely. There's a lot going on coming up on Congregation Beth Am. This coming Thursday, June 23rd, the CBA Movie Chat Club will be meeting live at Bahama Breeze in Altamont Springs. They would do lunch at 2:30, followed by the discussion of the current movie that they have watched. Then next Friday evening on June 24th, we'll be having our musical Shabbat, celebrating the birthdays and anniversaries of the month of June. We will have a special oneg, so please plan to attend if you can. Then in July, on the weekend of 15th and 16th, we will be having Cantor Doug Ramsey come lead us in services. Let's give a big warm welcome from Congregation Beth Am and have a big turnout. We'll be having a special oneg and Kiddush luncheon that weekend. Then the following Friday evening, July 22nd, our next Havra will be happening at the home of one of our members. It will also be a musical Shabbat. They're always very special and well attended, so please plan to attend. Then our summer raffle is going on right now. You can currently buy tickets. You are all mailed tickets. You can buy them for $10 a ticket. You can buy them, you can sell them, or you can give them away. But they're $10, and you have a chance to win $500. So please take part in that. And lastly, on July 31st will be our next play that we go to. It's On Your Feet. It'll be at the Winter Garden Theater. And it's plays are always nice that we go to. They're very enjoyable and they make for a nice afternoon. All of the events and special Shabbats we have coming up, you'll be getting emails on and flyers, so please plan to attend. Shabbat Shalom.
Of course, services every Friday night at 7:30 and every Shabbat morning at 9:30, either live or via live stream. We'll conclude our service this Shabbat morning with an Olam, which can be found on page 187 in your Siddur. Adon Olam Asher Malach, V'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'et Nasa Bechefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, V'yacharei Kiklot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nora, V'hu Haya V'hu Ove V'hu Yiyeh B'tifara, V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni, L'chamshir Lo Le'achpira, V'li Reshit V'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'ha'misra, V'hu Ein Li V'chai Go'an Li, V'tzorchev Li B'yetzara, V'hu Nisi Umanos Li Menat Kosi B'yom Ekra, V'yahado Avkid Ruchi, V'yerishan V'yahira, V'imruchi Geviati Adonai Li V'lo Ira. Shabbat Shalom, be safe out there. It's gonna get hot today.